Call to order. 5:31. Okay, I can read our operating norms. We will focus on agenda topics, be open-minded, respect each other, value different viewpoints, be responsive and responsible to our community with reference to the strategic plan, make decisions based on data and facts, listen to each other, be reflective, and run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, and are transparent.
Okay, so first up, we didn't really figure out how, exactly how to do this, but we're just figuring out as we go.
Yes, I think we didn't acknowledge that we currently don't have a board chair. Harley resigned without notice over Thanksgiving break, and we also don't have a library director. Christine resigned again without notice over Thanksgiving. So we're in sort of in flux right now, and that's why there's a little bit of disorganization right now, because we don't have a clear succession plan or a way to proceed without a board chair. So that's why there's some hesitancy, and none of us really want to run over the other, and I think we want to move forward together as a board. I'm not speaking, that's from me. But.
And I think in addition to that, I think going forward, one of the goals that we'll have is to have those plans of succession in place, so that if the board is ever faced with this again, that they'll have an idea how to move forward properly.
And it could just be illness. There's so many reasons to have that. It's not, certainly not only the resignation, but yeah.
Right. So we are in the position then to reassign officer positions, and I don't really know if we start from the top down, but clearly there's a void of a chair.
And is this a temporary measure, or is this?
I would say that this is temporary till March. I don't think instead of going meeting by meeting, I think we should just have somebody, unless you want to wait until we have a 5th member and then do a permanent thing, we could just do it meeting by meeting.
That's true.
I'm fine by that. I'm fine with that.
I'm fine.
Grace?
As long as, I guess we would decide.
I think it'd be great to have
At the end of a meeting.
It would only be 2 meetings.
Right.
Yep.
Just January,
Yeah, right.
February. So let's do temporary.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
So, does anybody want to chair this meeting?
No. Would you be willing? I thought that you did a nice job last meeting. I don't know.
I can. If nobody wants to, I'm comfortable doing that. I did put the agenda together, so and if you guys have noticed it, we do have quite a bit of work to do for this meeting. So we are hoping to have a smooth meeting where we can make some decisions and work together. That's what I'm hoping for.
So I'd like to make a motion to have Corey be our interim or our temporary or our chair for this meeting.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Okay.
Is there public comment? Do we need to have public comment?
I don't think so, but
No, we have that on the later.
But I mean, like public comment on the agenda, the topic that's on the table.
Not necessarily.
Generally in meetings, we
necessarily,
kind
I
of
don't
run
think
through the agenda.
Great.
Otherwise, you can get,
Yeah.
it can go.
should we vote on it?
Sure.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. All right, thank you. So I'll put that, we have addition or deletion of agenda items. So at the end of this, would we want to select the chair for the next meeting, or do we just, or decide, I guess,
Let's decide.
how that goes?
We can decide at the next meeting.
I think we should have it before, because then,
It's clear who's setting the agenda.
the agenda, yeah,
Okay.
because that is, yeah.
All right, so let's visit it at the end of the meeting.
Just this, yeah. And does anybody else have ideas for addition or deletion? One thing I thought, but maybe going forward, would be at the end to ask for topics for the next meeting. Sometimes we do that, just so that it can be all collated, and then nobody has to, read through their notes. They can, it can be noted pretty easily. I don't know, would we want to do that for this agenda as well?
Sounds good.
Okay.
It's a great
There
idea.
had been some talk about skipping the January meeting. There was a memo that went out. Is that something that we want to discuss during this meeting too? Or do you think that we're in terra incognita and we need to just keep moving forward since we need to figure out this unknown path that we're on?
I think so.
I kind of think so. I think that was at a different point. I feel like we're able to make some progress on these things. So I personally, I'm up for the January meeting.
Wait, Corey, you said you do want to have the meeting or not?
I do, yeah.
I would say maybe skip February if we can.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
See
If
what
we
we
can
get
get
on.
everything done.
See how we do in January. Okay. So,
That's my
because I do recognize there have been a lot of meetings, so,
yes.
yeah. Possibly skip Feb. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. So, do we have a motion to add select chair for the next meeting at the end and to...
At this meeting.
Huh?
At this meeting.
Yes, at the end of this meeting, and then also to just topics for next agenda to add as an agenda item.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to select a temporary chair for the January meeting at the end of this meeting, and in addition, have an area to add topics for the next meeting. Is there a second?
Sorry, I was waiting to see if there's more. Yes,
Okay, I know. Was that clear? Now that we can discuss it?
Okay,
Clear enough?
Yeah.
we did already do some discussion. All right, so can I get a vote on that motion?
Oh, aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Okay, so now we are opening it up to public comment, and we have not discussed public comment or our approach to that, and I don't know, I didn't get to read that. I was really working on the other stuff. I don't know if we want to talk about that now and then open up for public comment, or if anybody is interested in. And I hadn't heard about the rules of procedure or something along those lines. I'm sorry?
Parliamentary procedure?
No, it was something
That
different.
we adopted in May?
Was
we
that
all
in May?
signed it.
Okay,
Yeah, we all signed it in May. I think I actually printed it.
okay.
The rules of procedure?
Sure.
But, I mean, we haven't followed that very strictly. When I read through it, it seemed to be, I should have made copies for everybody, but actually it's on the library's website.
Right.
So everybody could access it there, and maybe we could, if you want, we want to, at the end of this, add it to January's meeting to discuss more fully, because there are a lot of things in here that I wonder if we actually thoroughly looked at that before we all signed it.
Okay.
And,
And I haven't
I
signed
didn't
it.
get a chance to look at Joni's, what Joni
Oh,
did
that
as well,
also?
So,
Right.
I think
Which is like totally separate, I mean, that was on,
It was just a parliamentary procedure.
yeah, it was
Right.
just kind of a condensed, it was just a helpful way to,
How to,
this is something different.
about public
process.
comment though, right?
Yeah, this is, well, this is a lot more than public comment. So I
So is
think,
this a separate?
I remember reading it when it came out,
yeah.
but I don't remember.
Yeah, so let's just refresh ourselves about it and revisit it in January. We can talk about that at the end of the meeting.
and are we comfortable, do we want to have both at the beginning and the end, which I'm fine with. I definitely like public comment at the end, because a lot of times people are responding to what has been discussed in the meeting, but there are ways to approach that, and I don't know, maybe that's just later down the line to think about.
Well, I think there's so much organizational work that needs to be done, but I think that if we had an agreement to have it in the beginning and the end of the meeting. We certainly aren't required to, considering like some of the stuff that I think what the email that we got from you that I read, and by open meeting law rules, I don't think we're required to, but if we choose to, great. But I think that right now, I think we have an agreement or understanding that we do,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I think, yeah, it's,
So we can also revisit that in March or whenever, with organizational stuff. But for now, what do you,
That sounds,
I think that'd be great to really do a deep dive into the bylaws and into like our
Yeah.
own organizational practices. And then justify those against
Exactly.
the parliamentary procedures, and best practices, and just see like where we are as far as an organization and what we, like what we've agreed to adhere to, and then how we can make that better.
yeah, 100%.
I guess one thing I would like to talk about is my understanding of public comment as far as the board and driving the meeting versus the board driving the meeting, and if anybody has any thoughts about that, or ways to sort of course correct, because this board has gotten sort of bogged down and it makes for a really negative experience on either direction. So that is my concern, just sort of public decorum and people coming, having abiding by the operating norms and that sort of thing.
It's tricky because the operating norms, I believe, are guiding how we as a board act, but it doesn't necessarily pertain to how the public acts. And so it would be great if the public would adhere to a code of conduct, but we can't, from what I'm understanding, like the public can say anything that they would like to say in a meeting.
Yeah.
But we have to respond in a way that is, within those operating norms. And so it's a tricky thing, because I would hope that everybody would be kind and would be respectful, but I don't know if we can demand that, because
I don't think we
that's not-
can, but I do
can't demand it,
but that's not how
yeah.
But
public works.
even in the operating norms, I believe that there are tools in which to stop an outburst or something that is inappropriate. I think, and I know that certainly people have the right to say things that we disagree with and that are
For sure.
of a completely different opinion than ours, and even unpleasant untruths. But we do have some tools, so it'd be a really good idea for us all to really read up on that and understand our rights and the public's rights.
My understanding is that if public comment doesn't abide by our operating norms, we haven't abided by our operating norms, and then that's kind of is my thinking. Again, I will do some more thinking about that and try to get some.
I also thought maybe we could, I think, and this is something that we can talk about again at the end of the meeting, but, sorry, I think I interrupted you, but perhaps in January, it might be good to have executive session with a lawyer in regards to some of the questions about this exactly. Like if there's something that's going to be said that could be slanderous or inappropriate,
Right.
how do we protect ourselves as well? So, I mean, that might be, if we have those kind of questions, it might be good to be guided by some legal counsel.
That is definitely something that was
No.
definitely something I'm
What are you thinking?
wondering about. So we can
Grace thinking.
put that on there. Public comment. Okay. And I know, like, for example, the Pawlet Select Board and the Medway School District have public comment, and there are guidelines that come at the beginning of the meeting. So if we would want to be forthright about that, and I believe, I don't know if that would be a policy change, so that we would do adopt it and then vote to accept it. So it would be kind of longer term, I guess. It wouldn't be an immediate change, if that makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so do we open it up for public comment now? Can we get a raise of hands? Yeah, just to get an idea of how many people in our time frame. So yes, did you want to as well? Yes, okay.
Okay, if I do?
Yes,
All right. Some of you ain't gonna like what I say.
okay.
I'll try not to be slanderous. My name is Fred Stone. I'm retired there, whatever you call it. worried about the future of the Pawlet Library, which has a history of dedicated librarians from way back. I've only been here 50 years, but all along we've had good librarians, dedicated. As I've stated before, I fully support the library board, and when they unanimously pass anything, I fully support it. They are elected officials, and I will, as the board changes, accept anything that you guys do. Didn't say I support it, I said I accept it. I got some suggestions for you.
All right.
My first suggestion is that you don't do what you just did and appoint you as a moderator. You do not have to have a library board member to be a moderator. And I'll bet you half the people in here know enough about Robert's Rules of Order that they could run a meeting, and then the four of you could tend to your business. But to run a meeting, I don't think you have to be a director. The other thing I suggest is, I believe that the select board should wait until the March election and not appoint anyone to fill in the interim time. Because you've got one more meeting, but it's after the select board meeting. I think you should wait and let the public decide who's going to be on the library board. Or if you are going to put somebody ahead for the library board to the select board, you better put 2 names on there. Okay, the moderator again. Okay, lastly, Sandra and I have decided that we want to kind of see how the wind is blowing before we make our donation. We donated a set amount yearly for I don't know how many years. We're going to wait on it, or we're talking about it. Based on what I saw at the last meeting you had, when a woman whom I don't even know who she is got dismissed and not allowed to speak what she wanted to speak, whatever it was, Sandra and I have decided we are not going to donate to the library this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stone.
Martha?
So I want to make a statement. I've also put it in, typed it up so that I can hand it to the secretary or the chair, temporary chair. But I'm a little bit confused whether this pertains to the minutes. You have not yet approved the minutes from the previous meeting. So may I go ahead and make my statement even though you haven't approved the minutes?
Well, would your statement, I mean, you're saying that you would want to correct the minutes, or you want to comment on the minutes? I mean, it would probably, could help us.
The topic is apropos of the addendum to the minutes.
Okay. Oh, I see. So are you referencing the letter that Molly wrote? Is that what you mean?
A topic in the letter.
Okay. I mean, I understand that you would like to comment about that. So would we, if you want to have us, I don't know, I'm honestly, I guess let's hear your comment, and then I guess we can decide whether or not to accept the minutes after, is that what you're asking about? I'm kind of confused.
Well, maybe you need to hear the question, they're actually questions.
Questions?
If I could
Okay.
offer the questions.
But we can't answer the questions.
Right, she's just
She understands
posing them to the board,
Okay.
right?
In the interests of transparency, please provide more information about the $2,600 purportedly given to the library director for an upgrade to the library's website. Question 1. Was this expenditure approved in the warrants presented to the library board? If so, at which meeting of the library board? Question 2. On what date did the Pawlet town treasurer issue the check? To whom was it written? Question 3. Did either the town of Pawlet or the library board receive an invoice detailing hours worked on the website from the library director or any other party? And I'm requesting that you provide the answers to these questions in the minutes issued for tonight's meeting or as an addendum to the minutes issued to tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. I think I saw Rhonda, did you have no, was that for public comment?
I did, though it pales in comparison to the previous two. I just wanted to, I'm pleased to hear that you're going to be revisiting the norms and guidelines for public comment, and I just wanted to revisit a theme that has been frequently mentioned over the past year or so, and that is transparency, accountability, and the role of those two values in governance. And I think it would be an interesting moment to think positively on all that this group has learned and endured over the past year, and think about ways that going forward, that both in terms of public comment, in terms of your relationships with each other, in terms of the board governance, that you can translate those ways of working, those norms and those guidelines, either in facilitating public comments and facilitating, obviously there's a vast amount of public interest and concern what happens with the library, but in trying to channel that in positive ways, and yes, and making sure that it's expressed in positive ways, and we need to hold ourselves accountable to do that in constructive ways. But I think that there's some good that can come out of all of this, and I think that you all have a lot of insight from this experience, and there's both like mitigating it from going sideways, but also building off of what we've all learned from this experience. So I'm really also want to express gratitude for you all for hanging in for what's been, I know, a really challenging time.
Thank you. Is anybody else? Okay. Action, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the 12/3 meeting?
Excuse me. I would move to approve the meeting minutes from 12/3.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Action is do I have a motion to approve the warrant, which I did email out to everybody.
Thank you for that.
Yes, so this has, I can pass it around,
So that obviously includes some bills from 2023.
yes, it does, but I have to ask Julie about that. They will, I believe, go into this fiscal year. But yes, that's an old bill.
Why was it so delayed? Do we know?
I'm sorry?
Why were these Ingrams so delayed from 2023?
They were sent email, and they only had one email address for the invoices. So now they have both the Pawlet Pub and mine as a backup.
Do we know any other bills that are going to the...
I don't, honestly, that's something we definitely need to, that's one thing I'm building is a list of bills and how frequently they happen, how much they are, and how they get paid, if they get paid by credit card or if, if we have to issue checks. That's definitely something that needs to be a part of the board knowledge.
I mean, how are you, maybe this is a topic for another time, but how are you going about compiling those list of bills if we don't have, if the bills are going to an email address that we can't access?
Right, and I've asked Dell for that, and she's said that she doesn't think that there's anything else outstanding, so, but
I mean, she didn't,
yeah, she
just
didn't
to
know,
say,
I know.
I mean, it's a black box, it's,
Yeah.
It's...
But I was surprised because they have on the bill our physical address and our phone number. So I asked them why they didn't contact us in any other way, and they said that they don't. I know. So that's kind of.
There's so many places that are just email. So it's.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like
if they wanted the money to be paid, I mean, there's ways to go about that they had, but they were not unhappy, and they're waiting on this check tomorrow.
Can you put this in the record that there are bills still coming in that we don't have record for? Because I feel like this is a significant issue. That, I mean, this is over a year now that we don't have access to bills, and that we aren't able to pay things that we owe because we aren't able to access an email address. This is very problematic.
Sure. Do I have a motion to approve this warrant, though? I mean,
I will make a motion to approve the warrant, but this is absolutely unacceptable.
Wait, you made the motion. I'll second the motion.
So now we can discuss, but I think that I understand that, and you have that in the minutes. We also had Misty Meadows spring water.
It's not funny, Sue.
Please, don't talk to me. Please, both of you. That's not, we don't engage like that.
Okay.
It's new, I'm not gonna do that. There was also Misty Meadows, a spring water bill that was a little delayed because it came shortly after I got onto the board and we were kind of issuing payments, and there was, from Catherine's time, there was a physical invoice that went missing as well. So it's not just an email that happens. Sure. Thanks. Okay, so do I have, let's vote on the warrant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, this will be paid tomorrow. Can you drop this off with Julie, because I'm going to be gone early?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we have a sort of lengthy action item, which is to approve the fiscal year 26 budget. I emailed that out to everybody, and I have copies for you. I did not hear back with any input about that, so I have gone with my just instinct and just working through things, trying to get the numbers to work. So I am hoping for us to have some discussions about that in open meeting. And then I have copies for the public if everybody is okay with that going out to I mean, it seems like it should. So, can we pass that down? I know Gordon is interested. So I guess maybe we should have a motion to pass it and then we discuss it, I guess. That sound right?
Okay. I'll make a motion to pass this budget for 2026. Wait, well, that's how it's titled. Do you want me to call it something different?
Isn't it fiscal year 2026?
Fiscal year 2026?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to pass the budget fiscal year 2026.
I'll second.
Okay,
So now we're discussing this budget. So I can give a sort of a report that I had emailed out, starting out from last year. The revenues were lower than expected and expenses were higher. So we had a variance of $7,300 negative from our budgeted numbers. And we ended fiscal year '24 with a deficit, which was the first deficit for this library board in a while. So I have for us, the revenues, the total revenue budgeted is $34,150. And I had gone fairly conservative, but then I realized that this is 1 year out. It's not this current year, so if that makes sense. So we can make some positive things happen, I think, in fiscal year '26. So we have the appeal letter, the same, book sale, programs as a source of revenue, and a fall fundraiser or some season, we can determine that. I knocked down the rent and the copy fee and the miscellaneous income because they were quite insignificant, and that's kind of a bonus if we get it. Again, on here, the investment gains and losses, Julie told me that is, again, like, we can't really count on that, so that's not part of our budget. It just comes, and we're not sure of what it is, so we don't.
Corey, can I ask a
generally put it
question?
in. Sure.
So programs, is that like yoga and other, and like,
Yes,
and
right.
other things?
So if we want to also
It might be a
expand
nice
from
idea
that,
to be, to be
we
more
could, right.
concrete.
And it seems like yoga is doing well, so I don't know if there's a desire to have even more yoga classes. I'm not
Well,
sure.
I did wonder about that process, I guess, about how, I know that Lisa May is doing a really great job and has really, that the numbers have increased, I believe, but there are other yoga instructors too, like, I think years ago when I came to yoga here, Lisa taught, and also I used to take classes with a woman who isn't here anymore, but they were, Corey, it wasn't her name?
No, Carly Wolf.
Carly Wolf.
She was great.
She was so good. So my point though is that what is that process? Is it directed from the director, or is it like, can anybody ask for time in, or I don't, I know, and also the way that Lisa's is structured is pretty unique. I think, does she get because the library benefits from the proceeds of more people coming.
Right.
Right. Anyway, I just wasn't sure exactly how that was structured and if it were to be expanded, how that works.
Yeah, I don't know either, and it seems,
Do you know?
I don't have the idea, but I love the idea of more public engagement.
yeah.
So,
Maybe that's something that we,
Right.
in the future with a potential future director, that was something, that's the way we'd.
My kids did ballet here, or my daughter did, so just one.
and there used to be,
And it was really,
And Alexandra.
and it was full of, it was just lots of
used to be-
families,
Yeah,
so,
there were more young families too.
yeah.
but I
there
feel like
were.
they're still out there. It's just,
I know, I'm just thinking about the numbers at Meadoway, like they're literally half of it were when I was in 2008,
Yeah,
which is shocking.
yeah. So that is an option, and that's why I did leave the programs sort of up there.
Okay.
I feel, I think that we can do that, 34,150. And then.
I'm sorry, the rent, is that for like when
That's for, yeah.
like when Robin Chestnut had a meeting? No, okay,
No, he doesn't rent, that's a public service. The rent is for like, somebody rented the downstairs for a birthday party, or, I think,
How do we make that more
well, that's,
welcoming to potential renters?
I don't know. I don't know how many groups are looking, if people are looking for things, but it
Yeah.
seems like.
That's,
We do have a good space, and it's,
yeah,
so yeah, that is an option for, I would think.
an area of growth.
Yeah, it was small enough though that it seemed like very, who knows what happens for the rent, like I say, there was a birthday party recently, and that was $20 or $25.
the fee has been $25 since I had my baby shower here in 2011.
Okay.
So,
It might be time to.
I think it's great because it makes it accessible for people, but it should be something that we could discuss, like, does $25 still feel good because So for a future discussion, that maybe is something that we want to put on the,
Yeah.
because it does feel
And
accessible.
what comes along with that? Is there extra cleanup work? Is there extra, you know?
No, I think it's just that somebody comes and opens it, and then,
The rental policy is something, then it would be part of that, all of that together? So that would be a policy thing?
yeah.
Okay.
But just to, because
Anyway,
it would be great to explain
area of
that.
development.
Right. And if anybody has ideas for, fundraisers, I'm sure. Well, like I said, there's a chance that fiscal year '25 will end with a deficit. So that would be something that we would want to maybe think about in the first or second quarter. Yeah. So then expenses, said they have been a little difficult. I need to go through the credit card statement to get everything attributed to the right categories. So but what I did was I left them because the expenditures come out of some part of the budget, right? So if they're not in the right spot, that is a valid cost that we would have.
So is programs under expenditures the same as the programs under revenue?
Yeah.
So it's almost, so that's interesting because.
Right. A lot of things got attributed to programs that weren't honestly, so.
So it's not.
Right.
That is a problem.
It's gonna take some work.
Because you can't make a decision based
Yeah.
on, if you're not getting,
I know, for that would.
because if I were to look at this and think it was the same apples to apples, I would say, well, it's not worth it to have yoga here because it's costing us more than it's revenue.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
It is, yeah.
So this is just parsing though, so it's just like the language needs to be changed and like, be
Yes.
updated, is that what?
Not necessarily language, just an understanding of what does the program mean. I mean, I guess that's language, but like,
So defining what a program is and then defining,
yeah, and having people to adopt it with fidelity, like I said, because there's some resistance, so I think that,
resistance from whom?
just
I'm sorry, I'm really trying to.
library staff.
Got it, okay, thanks.
So there has been some resistance to putting the categories, even just like I got the bill from Ingram and I went through and I actually looked them up online and saw which were adult books and which were children's books and put them in that way, and that's not coming from the staff currently.
That would be really helpful though, I guess.
Yeah, it would really, it would. It's just going through a whole year of credit card receipts.
Right, wasn't Corey, you had kind of suggested splitting that into like an entertainment
I did
versus,
put,
was that?
yeah, I put community engagement, and that was 500, so I took that off of programs, yep. That was, just so that.
Start, I think.
Because, right, so that was what sort of spurred that, was seeing, a payment to Carl, for playing during the harvest party attributed to programs, and that's not a program, that's not offering to anybody. Nobody's learning, they're not getting lessons from him or anything like that. And it was just because there wasn't a category, I guess, allotted to that, and so that kind of started that whole thought process for me. And that, I think that it's important for the library to put money toward community engagement, so, yeah.
I see that you knocked down $50 on the story hour. I'm just wondering.
I did, I was looking at right now it's $90 a month to pay for Gretchen's time plus some materials, and we did recently purchase some materials, so I feel like that is a good thing. So at $90 a month, that's, let's see. Oh, it did go down. Yeah, right, it was like 1,080. So then the rest is materials.
An assistant to librarian, what is that?
That one I left because that is.
What is that?
And I have, that's,
It's not salary, obviously.
it is, well, what it is reimbursing the Adele for her courier to interlibrary loan, and again, they'll all wash out, but I've started putting that money all into the courier interlibrary loans so that we can tell exactly how much money
Yeah,
we're spending, mileage and her hourly time for that,
Yep.
as well as postage for that. So, and then that's just for us to understand it. But I left it there because I couldn't pull it out. And it, again, the amount of money should wash out.
So just because my brain is slow today, the assistant to the librarian is the same numbers as the mileage and gas down below, and as well as the postage, like those numbers added together?
Those three, not all postage goes to the interlibrary
okay.
loan, but
But
yes.
okay.
But, so Adele does tell me when it is, or a couple of, when I've asked, it's been, oh, this is like interlibrary loan postage, because I guess that's sort of significant. And I mean, the interlibrary loan is a sort of form of community engagement in that it allows people to read books that they might not otherwise read, both not at our library and at other libraries. So it's certainly worth putting our money toward. It's just an understanding of how much that costs.
Great. Thank you for explaining that.
Sure. Again, on this, so here we are. So education, I did put that down unless...
Can we bump up? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I know that we talked about this last month or the month before about putting the 2,000 in for legal counsel, but we were covered by the VLCT.
But we're not.
That was in only for one instance.
Okay, so,
We are not covered, we're not fully covered, and we're also not covered by the town.
so do other libraries then have this in their budget, generally speaking?
And I did want to ask that, so we can't have any access to the town, the town council?
No.
Okay.
We're an entirely separate entity.
Okay. So then, yeah, we would then have to.
And VLCT is only, passive is only supplying us an attorney for a specific purpose. And so it's if it's out of his scope.
So what would it
$300 an hour. What's that?
So, but say the board is has a legal issue, then there's a specific topic, like I don't understand when you are and when you're not qualified for passive.
We are only qualified for passive in regards to the dismissal of the former director.
No, but it be something else.
Okay,
That's one.
So they're going to take it on a case-by-case basis because that's what the town asked them to do.
But we are covered under that umbrella of insurance. We are.
They have to vote on whether or not they accept it.
Okay. At each time, that it would happen?
It's on a case-by-case, I think
it's going to be case by case. I don't think we can.
and so I think that we are expected to have a fund.
So, and then this
to
was
have it
more
now.
for things like,
Right.
running things through like a contract or some along those lines, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that we had discussed in previous meetings about mediation.
Yeah.
Would hiring a mediator fall within that legal counsel?
I would imagine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good point.
And do we want to increase that number?
No, I think that's a good number. So you can get a lot done with
A
that.
few hours of work, right,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, we could also, if that happens and we see that we're over budget in one area, we can cut in another area or fundraise.
Right.
I mean, those are options through the year to make this all work out.
Yep.
Okay, so zeroed out the budget for education, and I don't know that, that was just to help us, get to this. I don't know what that is used for. We haven't used any in fiscal year 2025 to date, so, that was there. Again, there's that leeway. If something does come up, then there would be cutting in another area, possibly. Library supplies, I just kind of went, well, it's a little higher than last year. It looks like fiscal year to date, the budget is under that on a, kind of calculated out, but I don't know exactly what the library supplies are. I know that water is one of those. I don't know what else is right now. I don't have a real handle on that. And then I knocked some of the adult books down just because of the past, how much we did spend, and then the GMLC suggested that people that are turning to the Libby and check out online, and so that would reduce our need for physical books. Because their fees did go up, and so I knocked that down a little.
Is that a flat fee per year? How does that work?
Yes, oh, no, sorry. It did go up, it's per rental.
Okay.
And it went up, I believe, 2 cents per rental, but I'm not, I don't have that.
It went up by 2 cents or went up?
Yes,
Okay.
by 2 cents.
Okay.
But, yeah,
It's like it's only 2
sorry, I
cents
don't
rental.
have that.
No, that's okay. I was just curious
At
if it
hand.
was.
Yeah, it is, so there is a baseline fee and then that one.
Is it possible, this is for another time too, but the Green Mountain Consortium has a very limited amount of books that you can check out. I'm wondering for future questions if it's possible for us to join with other libraries across the country, if there's precedent for that.
Yeah, I don't know, that would
And then
probably be a
if so,
director.
yeah, where those fees would go, I guess is what I was thinking.
Oh, right.
So that's for different times.
That would require our analyzing our statistics, and we would need that, I would need that in a spreadsheet form.
Great.
Which I don't have.
Understood.
But that's where those statistics come into play, because we don't want to put money where we don't get it. The GMLC said that they, one of the things that's going on is that the wait time, so they increased their budget to buy
That's great.
access to books, so hopefully people will be able to use it more too.
I know. Okay.
So it seems like, I thought that was a good thing.
Yes. I did a 21-week wait on it.
Yeah, right, and then you forget about it,
Right.
yeah.
What is that under, Corey?
That is under automation, I believe. I know, it sounds, or technology, which one? I think it's,
Right?
one, yeah, I can't remember offhand, I'm sorry.
I was just curious.
But it's one of, is it in here? It's in the warrant. The category is in the warrant. Yeah, and that would be something, again, we talked about this briefly, but to understand exactly what goes into those
Automation.
categories, yeah. So, yeah.
Would something like digital resources or digital media be a more...
Possibly helpful for
Instead of
us,
automation?
yeah.
Yeah, because automation makes me think that we're
I know,
going
like
to the
robots.
cleanup.
I know, I agree. Digital
like
media, right, that would probably be helpful, because then that includes like Canopy, which
Right.
is attributed to technology, which,
So
you know,
I'm gonna cross off automation and put digital media. Can we change, can
Okay.
we make that amendment?
Sure.
Why not?
So then put both of them, technology and automation, in that?
So both of them together? Because
Or-
is technology, I mean, like, does technology encompass like a new computer or,
Right, we don't have that kind of
Copiers?
stuff.
right, so it's like,
That
Be separate.
I think that was just in like miscellaneous library expenses or library
Okay.
supplies. I think that's
It
where
should
they
be
go.
in technology.
And I wanted, yeah,
or like, do we buy e-readers that people can check out? Is that a thing that we do? Because that would be in my mind technology, like technology is like a physical thing. Whereas, digital media is ephemera that is accessed through the cloud, you know, like.
right. Yeah, I'm not really sure if that's, if that will help us right now, but yeah, I think, so you would suggest to do one of those just as digital media?
I think so, like the things that are Canopy, Libby, any of that is not a physical thing in our library, but that we are patrons and the library is using.
Would that be, like DVD audiobooks
Yes.
too, then?
Well, I don't think so, because those are physical things,
Oh, okay.
right?
Oh,
So in my
okay, you're
mind,
just
if it's
thinking
a
online.
physical thing,
Okay,
if it's a physical thing, unless it's like an audiobook that's accessed through the cloud,
Okay.
I don't know, that's how my brain compartmentalizes, but that doesn't have to be how we do it. It's just,
For this
Right.
section.
but I feel like in my mind, there's a difference between things that are assets in the library that people can hold
So not
and people
including, like,
can
DVDs and
touch
CDs.
Right.
versus things that are coming in from, but,
I mean, the more detail, the better, I think.
right,
Okay. Okay, I will make that change.
great, thank you.
Yes, okay, I think that, okay, so that is,
Oh, yeah.
that is the budget, and it's, again, the zero's out at 34,000.
Wait, did we go,
50, right?
are we through the second page?
Well, I didn't have anything in
Well, I have a
particular to say
question.
about that.
I
Oh,
did.
I did say, sorry. I missed that. I knocked down our fundraising expenses because that's one of my pet peeves, and I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement on that.
Well, I wanted to ask, I mean, I guess nobody here might know why the appeal letter expense is so high.
Yeah.
I think the printing, is it the printing stamp?
I think they were paid to stuff as well as print,
Yeah, I
and I
think
think that that's something that we could do.
That could,
Especially, and I remember some of the library staff telling me that that's what happened and how expensive it is, and I'm like, well, why don't we not do that? Why don't we could do it ourselves.
So that's why I knocked it down, because I didn't know. I mean, I know there's some expense to printing, but I don't know. But I think that, and some of that was postage too, even it gets
maybe
bundled into that, which would, for that particular
Yeah.
fundraiser. Yeah, so,
well, good work, Corey. That's a lot of
oh,
them. Thank you
thanks,
very much.
yeah, it's making my head hurt, just like, I don't want these numbers to work out. Yeah, so, okay, so that is the discussion, and then, again, as I said, the salaries are not a part of this budget, so, I didn't put it in because there is some leeway for us to work with that. I just don't feel comfortable putting any raise in at this time, because it feels that we're gonna have a challenge as it is, and I hope that we can, make this happen, and, with the way that we have, the appropriation for the salaries, there's some flexibility, like I said, with hours worked versus, a pay raise with fewer hours possibly. That would stay the same, and I have to ask,
And we can discuss that in executive session.
yeah, okay, yeah, and I do need to confirm how much flexibility we have, like if we can change it
Oh, right.
frequently, or if we are set if we have to set it for the year with them. I don't know that part. Does that make sense? So, I feel, yeah, so I think I just left that alone, and I just thought that this was gonna be, our challenge, and I think that we can do this, and I hope that, we even have a surplus by the end of fiscal year '26.
Yeah, that's something I would hope for. Well, can I make a motion then to accept?
We do have that already, so now we just,
With the amendment, though? What-
oh, sure,
I think with a couple of changes.
okay.
I mean, I know that we had a,
Which is, okay, so
So, I guess I would,
other than changing automation to digital media,
I think that was,
that,
sorry, okay, we do have some, okay, yes,
I would just encourage you to look up the definition for automation. It's actually a library term and it makes sense.
okay,
thank you.
To be called automation.
okay. Okay. So,
let's just then,
okay,
accept the budget as it is.
okay, how about that, and that, oops, sorry, Gordon, we have Gordon?
Is there a statement somewhere of the deficit, current deficit? And is there also a surplus somewhere that the library has that can?
We do have,
So
yes.
is that going to be discussed at some future point?
Yeah, we can probably then put that in the treasurer's report for the January meeting, but, right. So the deficit, it also is because there hasn't been an annual appeal letter, and I'm not sure what we're doing with that. I feel like, I think that the board needs to do some
think it's-
work before we
yeah, it's
ask the
premature.
public for money.
It feels
so-
premature.
But I don't know, there's definitely some kind of bigger fundraiser that we would need to do. But it hasn't come in yet. I'm not, or I hadn't, also this was, the fiscal year 25 year-to-date numbers were from November 30th. So we have gotten
Does the
some.
library have I guess surplus isn't the word I wanted, reserve?
Yes.
Is there a reserve?
Yes.
And can that offset
Yes.
or cover a deficit?
It can. It definitely, yes, it does, and it can. I don't have it offhand. It's healthy. But it's definitely not something, I'm very motivated to make us just net zero, so that, but yeah, there is a reserve. I'll put that in the treasurer's report, because I get those updated quarterly, generally. Okay, so we have that motion on the table to accept the budget, and do I have are we done discussing? Okay, so call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have a budget for fiscal year 2026. Sure. Okay.
Rhonda, you're up next. Did you see
Oh,
yours?
yes,
You are
Rhonda.
up next on the
Okay,
agenda.
we have an action item.
Did you read it?
Well, let's just, okay. Do I have a motion to accept Rhonda's generous offer to assist the board with the loop grant status?
I make a motion to accept Rhonda Schlegen's
Generous offer.
generous offer to assist the board with loop grant status.
I can second.
Discussion?
Lots to discuss.
Yeah, now there's
I think
discussion.
we're thankful
We have
for
a
that. Did you have a comment on that?
I'm not quite sure I understand what loop grant status means, and I'm just wondering, is this the same situation where it was to help people with hearing?
Yes.
And Harley held 4 public meetings. I went to 3 of them. And I think Fred Stone was at 3 of them. And then whatever this system was that was being offered as on this grant, there's only one place in southern Vermont that's using it, and it's a private church in Bennington. And Harley and Linda Welch and all the rest of us were invited, but I couldn't go. They went down to that church to find out more about it and came back to report that it wouldn't work here in this library.
Right, well, that aside, what we need to do is find out, we've received money for that grant, and we need to find out what our options are as far as, do we have to return it, can we get an extension, and we would probably have to, I don't know, but start that, it's possible to start the research process over, but the important thing is that we have a responsibility, we have $10,000 that we received, so that's.
In addition, didn't Harley himself say that it was actually being used at the Dorset Playhouse and was working
He did,
very well?
actually, at one point, Harley came back and said that he did like it. I think that was a few meetings ago. So, but that's, what we're talking about with Rhonda is to decide the status of we have the money, we've received the money and deposited it. Now what do we do? What are our obligations as a board?
So is the grant specific to a certain system, or is it possible that we could...
That's part of Rhonda's task, and she has a comment on that?
Yes, so I just wanted to clarify that my offer was not a decision-making
Right, sorry.
point of view.
I did not, yes.
At all.
No.
My offer was to look at the terms and conditions of the grant and look at the terms and conditions under which the library accepted the resources to provide feedback to the board so that they could in turn make decisions about the next steps. So I would not be acting on behalf of the board in any capacity. I would not be making any decisions. But because in my day-to-day work, I do a lot of work with philanthropies, and if it was a bottleneck in any way for the board to take action on this, it's something that I felt that I could help out with quickly so that the board could make some decisions about how to not lose the money, hopefully, and take advantage to help make the library more accessible. So it's a small little step that I thought that I might be able to help with.
Yeah,
May I address my question to you and you feel it? I'm just wondering if there's any chance this money could be used for a different system, like earphones, like they do.
Right, we don't know, so we're going to find out.
Yeah.
That's, right, so she's doing some, sort of information gathering for us, and then we would be able to think about those options.
Yeah, because as a person who is hearing impaired in the sense that I have to have hearing aids, and if it's true that this system will not work with certain hearing aids that don't have the coils, for me it would be much easier to be able to just put on some headphones if the library had 10 or 12 sets for those of us that need to hear at any particular program.
Right. So I hope that we will be able to use the money for something that benefits the community. We don't know yet how that would be, but yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
What are these hearing? What program is this? When we need a hearing, more hearing than we have.
I'm honestly not sure. It was the system, sort of an accessibility grant.
In case we needed something.
Yeah, and our community has the demographics that would, I think.
Yes, remember a little bit more.
I think it was like basically a system that kind of talks to a hearing aid,
Okay.
if it's the right one that can connect to it, was sort of my understanding.
Okay, so are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Rhonda.
Thanks,
for
Rhonda.
information gathering.
Thanks, Ben.
Yes, thanks. Glad you noticed that. That was good. Okay, the action, next item is to approve the letter for the annual report. Oh, gosh. Thank you, Grace, for that. I don't know.
So I sent a response kind of late in the day. I'm not sure if you were able to see it or if you made any.
I just saw it like in my car.
I didn't, because of the internet and everything, I couldn't check my emails until I got here, and then I was doing other things. So I guess, do we just have a motion to approve it with, I guess, discussion of if any changes, or do we should just discuss it and then possibly change it or not?
Well, I'm just grateful that you took it on.
Yes.
I think in reading the draft, that I think it would be probably beneficial to acknowledge the hardships, in some way.
The tough time.
It's been a tough year.
Yeah.
And that we are all committed to going forward with positive intentions and working together. I don't know, because to not address that feels,
Disingenuous?
I guess so. Or just,
Yeah, I think, not disingenuous exactly, but just like,
a little strong maybe, but
yeah.
But
maybe not transparent.
it's the elephant in the room.
It's the elephant in the room, and it doesn't have to be negative. It can just be an acknowledgement and
Yes.
also intention.
And we appreciate the support,
Yeah.
the continued support as we navigate this, I don't know. Sorry, yes?
What is the plan of the board as far as the fifth member is concerned, as far as the library director is concerned? Is there some tentative thought about it, or how do you proceed?
The fifth member is appointed by the select board, so.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to,
Sorry, that's how,
I'm sorry, that's not, they want us to choose.
no, right. They do appoint the person. They asked,
Okay.
they said, we are allowed to give a preference. We also might not have one, or we don't know. I have only seen one letter of interest. But the select board does appoint the person to fill out the term until March, which is also when the term ended, but just, that's how vacancies are filled. They're appointed, and then at the next election, they are elected.
And then when you have 5 members,
Then we'll have 5 members.
for director, or
Well, that is, we have not discussed that at all, and that's pretty premature, I think, to even talk about right now. So I think that we're kind of going to make baby steps toward a positive future, and that's, I don't want to, ignite any flames or do anything, but my understanding is that this board has a lot of work to do to align as a board, and then and only then is it possible to have that position open. The board pushed through, this past year, against a lot of people's input, and it didn't work out. So I don't think that we should go through that direction. That would be pretty hasty, That's just my opinion, though. Again, we haven't talked about that as a board, and it's not on the agenda, but I know that a lot of people are wondering, and that's what I would say.
I'd say I look forward to those conversations we have as a board, but like you said, it's like we're doing this step by step because of the position that we're in. We can't.
It would be irresponsible to start it right now, yeah. I think, I don't know,
Yeah, I think that we are in unknown territory.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense to forecast where we're going to be.
Right.
When we don't have a map for where we're standing.
So,
sympathize with you. Sorry, I totally sympathize with you.
yeah, thank you.
The letter, we're still talking about.
Yes, we're still on the letter. Does that,
Well, we have,
So, I don't like that we have to submit it before we're gonna have another meeting, correct?
let me check on that. Do you mind if I check?
Yeah,
Because
no.
I'm pretty sure that, I thought I saw a January 15th deadline, which we would have a meeting before that.
That would be great.
Yeah, let me, if I can, yeah. And I don't remember where I saw it. Yeah, was it from, I don't know if she sent it to my, town report reminder. Receiving them by everybody by January 15th. Yes. So,
I'm happy to tweak it and send it back out.
okay. Oh, thank you.
I thought that the tone of it was lovely, though, other than, thank you.
Okay.
And it's nice to remember that there were a lot of really positive things that happened this year.
Right, a lot of, that was interesting.
A lot.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. So we will move that to the next meeting. And I'll put that on the agenda. Okay, so do we have a reflection on the operating norms? I'll read them again. Do we focus on agenda topics? Yes. Open-minded, I believe. I will have us talk about this too. I'll just run through them then. Respect each other, value different viewpoints, be responsive and responsible to our community with reference to the strategic plan, make decisions based on data and facts, listen to each other and be reflective, and run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, and are transparent. So how do you guys feel about how we handled these operating norms? I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The data and facts is my big one, I like that, so. I know it's kind of surprising, but. Okay, so let's open it up for public comment. Martha?
So you have 14 items on the agenda, and you added an item, select chair for the next meeting and get your topics for the agenda for the next meeting. So number 13 is executive session, and then number 14 is discussion and action. So is the recommendation of a trustee candidate, is that part of your executive session?
Yes, it is, and I hope that that's my intention for the executive session, to be transparent, so that people have an understanding of what that is to discuss. Yes, so the
Public can stay while you're doing your executive session?
yes, and come back. We would reconvene, because we would need to have a recommendation in open meeting. We can only go into executive session to talk about this if we have a recommendation in open meeting and a discussion of a person that we either recommend, or if we each have a personal candidate.
So what I'm hearing from you is that you only got one letter of interest.
No, I've only seen one. I don't know, I've only seen one. So, yeah.
So you had the recommendation from Fred Stone that you not proceed with making a recommendation to the select board, and you simply wait until people file their petitions and get on the ballot. That was, if I understood Fred correctly, that's what he was suggesting you do. If it's true that you've only had one letter of interest, I'm wondering if you somehow failed to publicize this well enough. For instance, I looked on the library Facebook page, I didn't see anything. I looked on the library website, I didn't see anything. I did see...
It was posted on the website. It was posted on the website.
And the town website and Front Porch
It's
Forum.
very hard to find on the library website. I've looked twice. I did see Lauren's posting on Front Porch Forum once. I never saw it again. Where is it on the town website?
But you did see it right on the front page. Right on the front page?
Of the town website.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the library. Apologize. I don't know what it is.
So your public comment is that you want us to wait? Is that what you're saying? Or?
I think it'd be worth considering if you've only had one letter of interest.
Well, I think we have to go into the executive session to discuss, so that's, I mean, but yes, I've heard that, and I think let's acknowledge that. Yeah, Sue.
Isn't the select board required to fill the seat, to fill the empty seat? I mean, it's required by the state. It's not a local, it's not at their discretion to do it or not do it. It's just, it's required by the state that they do it, that they fill the empty seat.
My understanding is...
Correct. Look it up, Joe.
Jessica Van Oort actually addressed this at the last meeting, and
Yeah.
I think she said, you guys can bring, you can bring a recommendation. If you have more than a recommendation, you can bring multiple recommendations, and then they will make a decision. But it is their job to appoint a trustee.
Right.
Yeah.
And last time we didn't have a library formal recommendation,
Right.
except for me going and appealing to the board. So they don't, it's not necessarily part of the, into which it was opposed by another trustee. So, ultimately,
Right.
though, the select board does appoint.
It has its own process, and we can weigh in, and that's where we are. So we're doing I think we're going to do our work that we need to do as a board, and then that's,
And then, at the end of the day, These are just temporary. And
Right,
in March,
there is an
we'll have to
election in
go
March.
anyway.
Yeah, and that's, yes.
2 seats open.
For sure. Yeah, Gordon?
Wasn't there also the concern for the seat that you filled, Corey, that the board couldn't act
Mm-hmm. Right.
without 5 seats? I mean, we
Oh,
had that discussion this time.
Okay.
But I think there were some concerns whether it was legal to act with 4, whether it was not legal to act with, and
The problem was also-
it hasn't come up, but it seemed
Right.
at that point that was a matter of urgency to have 5 to act. I don't.
But that doesn't.
But the problem last time, the main problem was that the bylaws require a treasurer, and there wasn't one, and that was,
I see.
that was
Okay.
part of the,
That was the discussion.
yeah, I don't,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it's certainly helpful to have 5. I mean, we're a small board, right?
So it's legally not necessary to have 5, but
I mean, I think that we're supposed to, yeah,
It's, there are 5 positions on the board.
Right.
My understanding was that you have to have 5 positions, but you can act as a board of 4.
oh, right,
But our
that's what it is.
bylaws are different than that. Our personal, the library's bylaws are different than that. They say that should be a 5-member board. That's, which is a law.
So, yeah. So, yeah, we'll look into that too. I mean, but I don't, yeah. Anybody else for public comment? Yes.
I think the board needs to consider next year moving forward as far as other methods of fundraising. We've had the shortfall this year. We have heard from one citizen who is no longer going to support the library. I think we need to reach out to those people who can support the library, fundraise, whether you can write out a check for $1,000, you could write out a check for $5, you know. You want whatever you can get. The other thing I'm concerned about looking at is the budget is sort of the disparity in the purchasing of books. I'm not happy to see that you're decreasing the number of adult books that you're buying, and then you're allowing, I think it was 1,500 for children and also 1,500 for young adults. And you need to take a look at your records and see exactly how many young adults you have coming into this library as opposed to children. So I kind of feel that needs to be tweaked a little bit down the road.
Yeah, definitely.
Down the road. The other thing I see where perhaps you could do a change in the budget is that because this is such a small library, I don't understand why the librarian is not doing the story hour. Why are you shelving out money to pay somebody separately for that job? I just haven't seen that done in other small libraries at all. Your staff should be doing that, not somebody from outsourcing. So you could cut that money that you're putting towards story time, give them a couple $100 for supplies, and use the rest of that money to buy the books. So, just a couple of comments.
Yes. I do think this library has hired out Story Hour, or at least my experience that I've been somebody outside of the library.
It used to be a grant. When Heidi was doing it, it was, there
I
was
saw one too.
there was a story time grant. with it.
Right. I saw one actually.
So
come
that was underwritten by grant back then. If that's
But you don't have that grant money anymore.
no, it
Right.
dried up in
So perhaps you
2014.
consider when you do hire a good librarian, you should emphasize the fact that not only do you want them to get grants and run the library, but they also should be doing the story time as well. You're just spending way too much money on that.
Okay, thanks.
You're right, Joanne.
All right, any other public comments? Okay, a motion?
Go into executive session to discuss appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer or employee under 1 VSA Section 3313.
I'll second it.
A3.
A3, sorry.
All right, guess all in favor? Yeah, aye. All right, we're in executive session 6:50. Call the meeting back to order, 7:47. So we did have a healthy discussion, and I apologize for the time. But do we have any motion out of executive session?
Okay, so I'll make a motion to recommend Sue Laporte to the select board to fill the vacancy of our trustee. See, that was really poorly stated. Can you fix that for me?
I'll second.
Okay.
And just, do we have discussion, or do we just, I guess not. My feeling is that Sue has just such a broad experience in public boards and serving the public, and sort of a dedication to governance, and for that reason, that is why we put her forward.
Do you want me to go next?
Okay, so vote, or do you want to discuss more?
I thought we were each going to say.
Yeah.
Okay, as you vote, I guess, so then I'm voting yes to put Sue forward to the select board.
Well, I'm sure that Sue has many good qualities, loyalty, tenacity, being among them, fervor for the library. I'm choosing to vote no, because I feel that over the past year, although those qualities have been exercised and viewed, they've been mostly in support of the former director, whom I feel was dismissed by a unanimous board, and I stand by that decision, and I can't in good faith recommend Sue to the select board.
Just for my memory, if it serves me, Heather Lund abstained from that vote, correct?
She was not present in that. She wasn't able to make that meeting.
She was absent.
She was away.
Okay.
She wasn't here.
So it was a unanimous decision.
Gotcha. Okay, so I am going to vote to recommend Sue Laporte to the trustee position. I think that Sue has a tremendous amount of board experience. I think that she's been a member of our community for an extremely long period of time. She I think she'll be an asset, and so that's my position.
My experience has been, Sue's very single-minded in my limited interactions with her. And for that reason, I'm not going to vote to recommend, but I do want to say that if Sue ends up on the board, I definitely will work with her and hope that, everyone is working for the best of the library and nothing else. Thank you.
So, divided board, and we will, I guess, take that to the select board. I guess we didn't decide about that.
Well, I think
or should we email the select board, or?
I would do, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so. I mean, Jessica's, I don't know, we can ask them again for instruction if you want, but.
Okay. All right. The next meeting is Tuesday, January 14th at 5:30 here. And then the added items, we talked about possibly selecting a chair for the next meeting, topics if you have them for the next agenda, but we're not limited to now. It's just like if that is on your mind, then we can put them down and we know that they will be on the next agenda. And then we discussed Martha's letter as possibly on the next agenda, I guess. So, yeah, that would be.
What was the other thing that I had suggested? Do you remember?
Having a lawyer present.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
Executive session with a lawyer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, okay, so next, wait, I have
Possible executive session with legal counsel.
regarding what our obligations are as far as a board for public comment, was that what? Yeah, okay.
Right.
Do you know if the doors are locked?
If the what?
I don't know.
These doors?
They shouldn't be, because this is open meeting.
Sorry. have a kid who's gonna be dropped off.
Okay.
I think they're open because people have been coming in.
It's a requirement of open meeting law that the doors are open.
Okay,
So next agenda,
I would like to make a motion to have Corey remain temporary chair for next month's meeting.
I guess I'll say.
So then we can discuss it. I don't know if you guys have another idea?
I'm happy with that as long as you're good with doing that and the treasurer stuff.
Oh, right,
It's a lot.
yeah, but that has gone, you know, yeah, I am. Okay.
You sure?
Yeah, I am sure. I can, definitely, I mean,
If you wanted to, I don't know how the board feels about reassigning you or I to be the treasurer temporarily. I mean, I don't have your skill, obviously, and you've invested a lot of time and energy, but you've done a lot of the hard work, heavy lifting.
I think that it would make more sense for someone else to do temporary chair than, wouldn't it?
so I'm fine with it, but I also I mean, if somebody, feels.
I'm happy with that if you're willing to.
Me too.
Prefer not to. But I'd be happy,
Okay.
like would.
Yes.
So can we vote on
I guess
this?
vote,
Yeah.
yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. So does anybody have topics for the next agenda aside?
Just
From
what we
that
already
lawyer?
talked about.
Okay.
And Martha's letter, and,
Yep.
is there anything else?
Rules of procedure,
Oh, right.
what were we gonna do?
We were going to look over the rules of procedure, which is on the website.
You said it was May of 2023?
Yeah.
Or 2024?
It's actually 2024.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
you signed it also, it's on here, I printed it out,
Oh, okay.
May 7th.
Well, I wasn't on the board then, so
You signed it.
it must have been after, like one of those ratification things?
Oh, because it says it's adopted May 7th.
It came through in May and then was adopted in the fall. So it was posted in the spring and then came through in the fall.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay.
Second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're adjourned at 7:56.